Hello, YouTube. This is Ewan Spence and ESC Insight calling. It's Eurovision 2023. Let's review some more songs. On our little digital turntable today, it's Andrew Lambrou's entry for Cyprus, Break a Broken Heart. And for those of you who have already been listening to our podcast and Jukebox Jury, you'll realise that this is the edited highlights where we just talk about Cyprus here on YouTube. If you're interested in hearing more, all of our song reviews and the full podcast experience of news, interviews, chat and more, www.escinsight.com. If you're just here for the review, that's fine as well. I'm going to be joined by Scott Reid and Ariadne Griffin to talk about the Cypriot entry this year, Break a Broken Heart by Andrew Lambrou. Cyprus's Andrew Lambrou there popped up in Australia decides last year, but singing for Cyprus this year, Break a Broken Heart. Too many broken hearts, Ariadne?
I mean, there's a lot of songs that mention broken hearts this year, but I think this one, I'm glad to see Andrew back. I always like it when someone gets a chance after trying so hard. I'm not sure it's a great song. It's kind of sort of another male heartbreak ballad that doesn't really add anything new to the conversation. It's very radio friendly. It's got an anthemic quality to it. I think it will do well in the stadium. I'm not sure it's an entire package.
It feels like a little bit of a cruel song. It's like, you can break a broken heart. It's just like, that's wreck on a wreck. Is that really this? I mean, you said, of course, we have that male ballad, but this just seems like a male ballad with just a little bit more pain on it.
I mean, yeah, I get that. I don't know. I just don't find it to be lyrically interesting. And I don't think it quite gets to the levels of sort of angst and pain that it probably needs from him. I mean, he might pull that out in a live performance. It's not a song for me, perhaps.
It's one of those songs that technically is absolutely fine, if that makes sense, but doesn't really inspire much for me either. Also, ballads from Cyprus, Fuego just staring in the rearview mirror going, but this is catchy enough, but may struggle to stand out. The issue I have, there's potential for some really big notes in there, which in theory would please juries, but in practice this is now televote only in a semi-final. And also, I've only seen the polished music video. I don't know if he can actually hit him. So yeah, by sheer virtue of the fact this isn't the second semi-final, isn't it? If it is, then it stands a reasonable chance, I would say. But I also agree, I can't find much to say this is great or this is terrible, and if I'm not really being inspired either way, that worries me about a Eurovision song.
It is in the second semi-final, yeah. Look, on paper, I should like this. It's got the bass line that I always talk about, but it doesn't have anything else. There is a locked-off melody that sits on top of that, which it goes in, here's the single tempo I'm going to use for the melody. There we go, 3 minutes. There's one moment in the bridge where it tries to break free, and it just goes into a little bit of extra double time in this sort of soft-spoken rap style. And I've been struggling with this one to think out what it is. And I think it's just Andrew's voice only has a sort of like two areas. There's quite a low range that sits in the verse, and there's a slightly higher range that sits in the chorus. It's not exactly Wackel's 2-note song, but it just seems to be a song which, you know, has one gear, it's got two settings, but everything just sort of trundles along. And it's in that terrible space of Eurovision songs where it's not creating any emotion. It's just creating, okay, there you are. Here's our song. Is this okay? I need more than okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue that I had with his performance of Electrify at the Australia Decides the previous year. It was just kind of flat. And I think he really needs to bring more levels to it, as you said. And again, I'm not entirely sure he can do that in a way that will get votes.
This is one of the times, Scott, where the preview parties actually come into their own because they have to go out in front of an audience. And it's just like, well, if you want to use the backing track, everybody's going to go, oh, you're using the backing track.
Yeah, and I think this lives or dies, I think, by whether you can match, because there are some fairly hefty notes in there that have the potential to be like a, oh, wow, moment, or like the X Factor notes, that sort of thing, that could, pull people through. So it lives or dies by that, I think.
So, hit, miss, or maybe then. Scott?
Maybe, but a very, very, very soft maybe. I think on the basis that it's a solid enough song. It's got a sort of Radio 2 sort of appeal. But like I think you've explained it better than me in terms of like it's a little bit flat and not doesn't really travel anywhere. So it depends on whether he really gets the notes out and really makes a show of it.
And now for the deep regional cut. Is that Radio 2 pre or post Popmaster?
I was just thinking that. It's kind of like older Radio 2, isn't it? As opposed to like where Radio 2 is now. So yeah, older, I think.
Yeah, it's a maybe for me. I think it could do well, but I think it's a maybe. I think it's a high end of a maybe.
For me, this is pretty much a miss. It's not doing anything for me standalone. I'm not seeing anything that could lift it in the contest. It just sits there, it trundles along, and as I said, it is in that worst place where I just have nothing that I can connect to it. So there we go. It is a miss from me. For all of you who are listening for the first time, what is a hit? What is a miss? What is a maybe? I don't know. Answers on a postcard, please. Maybe we should have defined this when we started off the show back in 2009. We didn't. Again, we leave that up to the opinion of our judges as well. There's no prizes. There's nothing important on the line here. It's Eurovision. It's songs. We talk about them. We love them. Andrew Lambrou there. Break a Broken Heart is the song he'll be singing for Cyprus when we get to Liverpool and the Eurovision Song Contest 2023. We review all the songs on our Jukebox Jury podcast. You're getting them a song at a time here on YouTube, but you can listen to them in full. Follow our podcast ESC Insight, and you'll find that on your favourite podcast app, directory or service, or even at the main website, www.escinsight.com. Ta-ra for now. You've been listening to the highlights of Jukebox Jury as we preview the Eurovision Song Contest 2023. Find out more and listen to our podcast, www.escinsight.com.